Have you ever been told you have, I don't know, too many hobbies? Well, today we're going to dive into this really powerful idea called the M-shaped mind. It's a concept that completely reframes that so-called weakness into what might just be your greatest superpower.
So, does this sound familiar to you? You get intensely, almost obsessively curious about coding. But then 6 months later, you're deep into sustainable farming, and after that, who knows, maybe it's ancient history. If you've ever felt that pressure, that little voice telling you to just pick one thing and stick with it, well, you are not alone. And more importantly, you're not doing anything wrong.
You know, there's actually a word for people like us, multi-potentialites. It's just a way of saying you're someone with a huge range of interests and creative pursuits. See, it's not a flaw, it's an identity. And honestly, just understanding that identity is the very first step to unlocking its incredible potential.
Okay, so why does having a ton of interests so often feel like a problem? Well, it really just comes down to the story we've all been told about what success is supposed to look like. The traditional career path, the one we all hear about, is what you'd call I-shaped. The idea is you pick one field, right? One single pillar of expertise, and then you spend your entire life just digging deeper and deeper. The goal is to become the world's leading expert on one very, very specific thing.
So when you're a multi-potentiality trying to fit into that I-shaped world, it's just so easy to feel like a failure. You might feel totally scattered, jumping from one topic to the next, or unfocused because you just can't seem to commit. You might even look back at all your past interests and see this graveyard of abandoned hobbies, feeling like you're constantly just starting from scratch. But what if that's the completely wrong way to look at it? What if there's a better way? Let's explore a new model, one that actually celebrates all your diverse interests. Let's talk about the M-shaped advantage.
All right, let's really compare these two models. Your I-shaped specialist, they have that one super deep pillar of expertise. They are awesome in what are called kind environments. Think a game like chess, where the rules are fixed and never change. They solve problems using near transfer, which basically just means applying a skill to a very similar problem. But then you have the M-shaped professional. These are the people who build multiple pillars, and they thrive in wicked environments. You know, the real world, where the rules are changing all the time. Their secret weapon? It's far transfer, that incredible ability to see a pattern in one field and apply it to a completely different one. And this right here is the core issue, isn't it? When the game itself is changing, I mean, just think of how AI is disrupting entire industries. Being the best player at an old game suddenly becomes a huge risk. The M-shaped professional has a kind of built-in redundancy. If one of their pillars becomes obsolete, they have others to stand on.
So remember, your real value isn't just in your knowledge of coding or storytelling or data science, it's in the space between those pillars. It's your unique ability to synthesize ideas, to connect different worlds, and see the patterns that the specialists, deep down in their silos, will almost always miss. Okay, so you've got all these different interests, I get it. But how in the world do you find the connection? The key is to start looking for the hidden through line that actually ties everything together. Here's a pretty simple 4-step framework to get you started. First, you gotta shift your mindset. Instead of asking, what's my passion? Try asking, what problem am I constantly trying to solve? Second, look for what are called structural echoes. These are just repeating patterns across all your interests. Third, and this one is so critical, you have to externalize your ideas. Get them out of your head and onto paper. And finally, seek integration. Start thinking about how to combine your interests, not which ones you need to cut out. Let's make this a little more concrete. Imagine for a second you're a web developer who used to be a farmer. Now, the content of those fields, computers and plants, they seem totally unrelated, right? But the underlying structure, the pattern, it might be identical. Your through line isn't the specific skill, it's the deeper concept you're fascinated by. Something like systems that grow and adapt. It's like you're seeing the music, not just the individual notes. Your brain just can't hold all these connections at once, which is why you have to get them out, externalize them. Use a journal, a note-taking app like Notion or Obsidian, whatever works for you. The thing is, that connecting thread, it often only reveals itself when you look back. A thought you capture today about, say, medieval architecture might become the perfect model for a software project 3 years from now. You have to capture the dots so you can connect them later. So, the big question. How do you build multiple deep pillars of skill without completely burning out? The answer is a strategy, and it's called serial mastery.
Serial mastery just means you don't try to learn everything all at once. It's a fool's errand. Instead, you treat your life in seasons. You pick one area and you go deep. You focus intensely for a period of, say, 6 to 18 months, until you reach a really solid level of fluency. Then, and only then, do you pivot to build your next pillar.
This is kind of what it might look like in practice. In Season 1, you do a deep dive into coding. In Season 2, you shift your focus to mastering storytelling. Season 3, data science. Each season builds a new, strong pillar. And then later, you'll naturally enter an integration phase, where you start actively building the bridges between them. This is the perfect antidote to becoming what some people call a dash-shaped person. You know, someone who just dabbles in a bunch of things but never really masters any of them. That approach just leads to shallow, disconnected knowledge. Serial mastery is all about building genuine depth, but one pillar at a time. It's strategic, it's sustainable, and it's incredibly powerful.
All right, let's bring this all together. What does all of this actually mean for you, the person who's maybe felt scattered and unfocused for years?
Well, it means that what you once saw as that graveyard of abandoned hobbies is actually your unique library of wisdom. Every single skill you've learned, every curiosity you followed down a rabbit hole, that's a book in your personal library. You haven't been quitting. You've been collecting the metaphors and the mental models you're going to need for much bigger purpose.
And this means your interests have never been pulling you in different directions. That was just an illusion.
All this time, they have always been pointing you toward the unique problem you were born to solve, the unique bridge that only you were meant to build. Your combination of skills, that personal library of wisdom you've been building, it is unlike anyone else's on the entire planet. So the only question left is, what incredible, world-changing bridge are you going to build with it?